you an imam for all the people. So imamat is universal. It is not limited to a group. A risalat and nubuwwat can be limited. The Holy Prophet's risalat is for all mankind. So therefore, the imams are for all mankind. They're not limited. That's the second point. I want to quickly just make the points and go on to the next part. Now, one of the other points which is very important is infallibility from this verse. How can you prove that the imams have to be infallible? From this one verse. Allama Tabatabai, not only the whole verse, he used only a part of the verse. La yanalu ahdi zalimin. You know the last part. My covenant will not get to the wrongdoers, zalimin, the oppressors. Yes, the unjust. Everyone listening? La yanalu ahdi zalimin. The zalimin, the oppressors, will not get my covenant, this level of imamat. Just this last part, Allama Tabatabai used, and he said, let me prove infallibility. Look at the point he is using, the last part, yes.
I just have a quick question. Is it that imams are infallible in their totality, like they have no capability of doing sin, or is it that they're human and they have the capability of doing sin, but the miracle of their existence is that they didn't do any sins?
Yeah, not that they don't have the capability like angels. They have, but they will never do sin. Because they see, when a person said, Mawla, why don't you do sins? The sixth Imam al-Islam. He said, will you pick up a knife and poke it in your eye? He said, never. He said, why not? He said, because I know what will happen. He said, just as you know the consequences of that particular thing, that's how we know all the different sins. We see the certain consequences in the hell, what the punishment is. That's why we will never sin. Our knowledge protects us, the special knowledge that we have. A person will not jump off a cliff because he knows the consequences. That's how we see the consequences of every little sin. You will never pick up a glass of poison and drink it because you know certain consequences. That's what we see every sin as. Okay? Now I cannot go into more details, yes.
Even though, like we say that imams cannot sin, is it possible that they might have erred, like not on this sin, but like have done something that...
No, there are two levels of ismat. There are two levels of infallibility. One is of the prophets and one is of the 14 infallibles. Whenever, our parents, they taught us Allah, ek, Panjatan 5, Imam Bara and Masumin 14, while all the prophets are infallible. Hazrat Maryam was infallible. But these 14, there are two levels of ismat, if everyone remembers that. Ismat al-Sughra and Ismat al-Kubra. The lower level of ismat, infallibility, and higher level. In Ismat al-Sughra, the prophets, they can do tarke awla, meaning they can leave out something which is better. Like Hazrat Adam, Allah said, do not eat this plant. It wasn't haram on him, but it was something for him not to do because Allah had told him not to do. But he couldn't resist. And that's why Islam says, Al-insanu harisun ala ma muni'a. We, the human beings, always tend to do what we are stopped from. You tell someone, don't look behind. And they will, why are you telling me not to look behind? He said, why is that? Because our father Adam was told not to go near that plant. He said, what is in that plant? I just want to see, just once I want to try it. So he said, that's from Adam in every. Al-insanu harisun ala ma muni'a. What you stop someone from, don't think about this tonight. And everyone will, why was he telling me not to think about it? So you'll all be thinking about it. Imam al-Islam said, this is from Adam. But 14 infallibles, they never have tarki Allah. Their infallibility of such a level that they do not have any, let alone sins, or they do not even have mistakes. Okay? The 14. Now, the point that I wanted to prove is from dhulm. Remember this expression, dhulm. Injustice, evil, oppression is of two types. One type of dhulm is on others, and one is on self. On others, when you oppress others, everyone understands that. But dhulm on nafs, on your own self, what is that? When you sin, you're oppressing your own self. Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi. The Prophet, when Hazrat Yunus, he said, oh Allah, punish all of these people. Allah said, how dare you pray for these people to be punished? I sent you to guide all of them, and you're saying that I can't guide them, just put them in hell. How dare you? In that time, there was this fish that would come, the whale, and they will open the mouth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the people will be thrown in the mouth as a punishment. So when he turned, he saw that on the beach, that fish had come. So he looked around, who is there for me to put in the mouth of this fish? He looked that there was no one there. He started crying. He realized that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had punished him. So he jumped. And then he started saying, Inni dhalamtu nafsi. I am the one who suppressed myself. So any sin. Inna shirka la dhulmun adhim, the Quran says, indeed, serving other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a great dhulm. So all, not serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not worshipping Tawheed, all of these are types of dhulm. Did everyone follow me there? So dhulm can be on others, oppression, injustice, and on self. When you are sinning, when you are not believing in Tawheed, when you do certain sins, these are all according to the Quran, these are all dhulm. So anyone who sins, based on this last part of the ayat, you can divide all of the human beings into 4 parts. Everyone awake? First group, the ones who've been sinning before, the ones who've been zalimeen before, and they will continue to be zalim. Imamat cannot get to them because they are zalimeen. La yanalu ahdi zalimeen. Imamat will not get to the ones who are zalimeen. So that's the first group. Second group, the ones who haven't done any dhulm in the past, but in the future they will be doing dhulm on themselves or others. Imamat cannot get to them because they have dhulm coming in the future. The third group, the third category, the ones who have dhulm in the past, but they do not have it in the future. They may be forgiven because they have repented, they do not have dhulm anymore. But because in some part of their life they have dhulm, they cannot be the ones who are attaining imamat. The fourth group, who have no zulm in the past and no zulm to be coming in there in the future. The ones who do not oppress others nor their own self are the ones who are ma'soom. So on the last part, only just the last part, Allama Tabatabai proved ismat, infallibility. I've gone over it very quickly, but because the time is short, so I have to just, already 11:30, is that the correct time?
Close to it.
I'll be rushing through some of these things. Now, so the first thing is that the imamat is universal, and the second point here, from this verse, it is for the ma'soomeen. It cannot get to anyone other than ma'soom. Now the second verse that I have also requires a long argument. Now I'll only use just one part of it. You already know the story behind Ayah Mubahala. Many of the verses have a name. Mubahala was between the Holy Prophet and the Christians. We all know the story. Here the point to be noted is that in this verse, the Holy Prophet is the one who is bringing on his behalf his sons, women, and his nafs. In the place of sons, he brings Hassan and Hussein. Women, he just brings one. And for nafs, for all of these men that he can bring, the Christians, they had a big army that had come with them. Women, children, and men. Because, you can bring all your children, you can bring all your men and all the women. But the Holy Prophet only selected 4 because only they were the ones who were close to his position, either parallel or were close. Imam Baydawi now, the Sunni writer, in his tafsir, when writing the tafsir of this verse, he says that it is enough for the Rafida. The Rafidis, who are the Rafidis? Sorry. I want to sleep now. Who are the Rafidis according to the Sunnis? The ones who have deviated. They are the Shias. Thank you. The Shias are the Rafidis. He says, according to this verse, it is enough for the Rafidis, the Shias, not to just prove that Ali is better than all the companions, but in fact, he is better than all the other prophets because he is nafsu Rasulullah. Pay attention, everyone. When you ask someone in Arabic, what is the price of this thing? He will say, for example, $10. He said, what about the other thing? He says, nafsu shay. It is same as the other one. Nafs is equal. And that's why if the Holy Prophet is Sayyidul Anbiya, the master of all the prophets, and Imam Ali is his nafs, then he is also better than all the prophets because he's nafsu Rasulullah. He is the soul, he is the parallel, he is the only one equal to the Holy Prophet. And here is a proof on the imamat of Imam Ali al-Islam, that no other companions were good enough to go with the Holy Prophet. Okay? I don't want to go into more details on this because it requires a lot of work.